Hello, and welcome to this review of the Writing Girls, a historical romance book series by Maya Rodale. I'm Olivia, your favorite resource for book recommendations you can easily screenshot. You're watching Random Olive Reads. First up is A Groom of One's Own. Sophie gets jilted on her wedding day in a horribly embarrassing prologue. A year later, Sophie has become a well known newspaper writer with a column featuring weddings of the aristocracy. She has a meet cute with a duke who she doesn't know is a duke, and is later shocked to find out that he's engaged to be married and that she will need to report upon the wedding. Brandon is the ultra serious and responsible double duke who has decided to marry an equally respectable lady. However, he's completely distracted and besotted by Sophie, but cannot break his duty to his fiancée. It's all tricky business being an upstanding fellow. Luckily, his fiancée isn't actually in love with him and has another suitor in the mix. This book was a fun countdown towards the end of the wedding and left me wondering how everything would all work out for all four players involved. A Tale of Two Lovers is book 2 of the series. Lady Juliana Somerset is the secret author of the gossip column at the weekly paper and has written that Lord Roxbury may have been trysting with another man backstage at the theater. Roxbury's now questionable proclivities have made him a social outcast and also forced his father to issue an ultimatum. Roxbury needs to marry within the month or be financially cut off. He doesn't really want to marry, but even if he did, no proper ladies will receive him with his current reputation. He seeks retribution from the paper and finds that Juliana is the cause of his downfall. They start needling each other at every instance until they get caught in their own scandal. Juliana is wary of Roxbury, especially since he's a rake, because of her past experience with her late husband, who died in a drunken carriage accident with his mistress. So Roxbury has a lot of work to do to get her to trust him. In the background, we're also trying to uncover the identity of the rival gossip columnist from the other newspaper, which is a fun little mystery to follow. The Tattooed Duke is book 3 of the series. One of the writing girls, Eliza, is tasked with getting all the scoop on the newly returned Duke in town. She applies for a job as a housemaid in the Duke's house and is able to find out all sorts of gossip to use about him in her new column, The Tattooed Duke. While Sebastian is part of a family infamous for its rakish and inappropriate treatment of female staff members, he is trying to stay vigilant and keep his hands off of the ever attractive Eliza. Despite finding his estate in disarray and debt, Sebastian would rather be sailing the world and leading an expedition to Timbuktu. Unfortunately, all of the press about his scandalous reputation does not help him acquire the funding he needs for the expedition. Meanwhile, Sebastian and Eliza seem to be growing closer while she's in his employment, even though he doesn't know that she's the one betraying all his confidences. We also get some fun, twisty secrets about both Sebastian and Eliza as we progress through the book, with tons of dramatic fallout along the way. Three Schemes and a Scandal is a quick little novella, book 3.5 of the series. Lady Charlotte, the younger sister of the Duke of Brandon, is a walking disaster with all of her scheming. As the sister of a duke, she gets away with quite a bit, but still somehow wreaks havoc on society. She gets herself into a tangle with her once childhood friend James, which leads to his father's ire and banishment of James. In trying to help them make up with each other, they get into even more trouble. But as they reconnected after all these years apart, both James and Charlotte are beginning to develop stronger feelings for each other. This novella was quick and humorous to read with all of the chaos that happens at pretty much every turn. Seducing Mr Nightly is book 4 of the series. Annabelle has been in love with newspaper editor and owner Derek Knightley for ages, but he has not noticed her in the least. Finally tired of being overlooked, Annabelle turns to her own advice column to ask the people of London for tips on how to attract her man. Meanwhile, Derek is being influenced by a Marquess who has the ability to essentially shut down the newspaper, but also wants Derek to court and marry his sister. This scheme has the benefit of protecting the newspaper, as well as gain entrance into proper society by marrying the sister of Marquess. Clearly, Derek has his own hangups, being the illegitimate and unacknowledged son of an earl, and is a complete workaholic to earn his money and prove his worth. As Annabelle starts to enact her schemes of wooing Derek, he's completely baffled by her behavior and wondering why he's suddenly noticing her. It's actually pretty heartbreaking to watch him be completely oblivious to her efforts, proving that he really is the idiot that's being mentioned in her column. He finally does wise up to Annabelle's charms, but there's definitely a lot of drama along the way. This was a super fun series to read about working women who write for the newspaper. The series does go in chronological order, so it makes the most sense reading it that way. However, the plot stands pretty well on its own, so you can read them as standalone. The long-standing crush that Annabelle has on Knightley is apparent in every book, but you get enough backstory in book 4 to not need to read the others. I like the series a lot and it was fun to binge read. Each plot was totally different from each other, so it didn't get stale or repetitive. We have a very strong female friend group. I liked this style of very short chapters with a clear heading on where each scene took place. I definitely recommend this series and it was really enjoyable. Thanks so much for watching this video. Links to all of these books are below. Like and subscribe to get updates, and you can follow me on Instagram at randomolive.